Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Jira training session. Today, I do have Yvette and Kaya on the call today. They do have reached out to me to walk them through a few questions that they probably would have for me. So please remember that you can post me your question if you have any on the comment section, and I'll be setting up a call to walk you through what you need to do and how to get that set up in your Jira system. So thank you, Yvette. Thank you, Kaya, for joining us today. Please remember, if you have any questions or when we start the video, you can stop me at any time, and then I'll be more than happy to answer your questions as we go. But before we start, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with the rest of your friends. If you do have a question for me as well, or you want me to, do a video for you on how to resolve any questions that you might have, please leave me a comment in the comment section, and I will be sure to get back to you. So we'll be starting today's Jira training session. Thank you, Yvette. I know you posted a question to me and you had a question for me. So over to you now, and then we'll take it from there.
Hi, Layo. Thank you again for making the time to help me with my Jira questions. So in this session, I wanted to understand, how do I go about creating a new field, and how do I go about adding it to my screen or to my project? Can you please show me how to do that? Thank you.
Okay. So that's fine. Thank you, Yvette, and it's a pleasure. I really did enjoy our last session the other time. So yes, I'll be more than happy to walk you through the system. So on my screen now, I already do have my projects already opened up. And this is all the issues that I do have in my project, okay? So if you do want a field created in your systems, two things you need to be aware of, two things that you need to check before you go ahead and, create any field. One, is your project sharing the same configuration with any other project in your organization? That's the first question. That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. The second thing is, do this field already exist in the system, but probably not for your project? So because what you don't want to do is go into the system, create a field that's already in existence, and that way you're creating duplication. Okay, so those are the key things that you need to ask yourself. Check on the system first before you go ahead and make any changes or create any new fields into the system. Another thing you also need to be very careful about as well when you're going in, the more customization you create into your Jira system, in some cases slows the performance down for the system in the whole organization, not just for your project. So you will find out that when you're trying to create fields or you're requesting for custom configurations, you'll get a lot of pushback from Jira administrators because they try to want to stop those kind of behaviors. So what they tend to do first is always check to see if there is a field that you can reuse for the purpose of what you're trying to do. Okay, so if in your organization you are a Jira administrator or you are a project administrator, they're two different roles. If you're a Jira administrator, you can go in and do all these checks yourself. If you are a project administrator, the Jira administrator would have to do that for you, and then they would come back to you to tell you, okay, Yvette, yes, you can get this field, or these fields are already in existence, can they be reused? And then you can have those back and forth conversation with them to decide, what you need to do to go ahead and create one. So in this instance now, I'm going to be walking you through the process of how we're going to get one created and how I'm going to check on the system to see if a field with that name is already in existence, okay? So you would need to go to, if you follow my mouse, you would need to go into the cogwheel you can see at the top right hand side of your screen. Once you click on that, it's the setting button. This setting button takes you to the back end system of the project. If you're going to the project setting, you need to go into I will take you through that step once we're going to add the field into your screen. So in this case, I'm going to be clicking on issues, but you can literally click on any of these Jira settings you're seeing. It takes you to the same place, and then you can navigate your way through to the field section. So I'll click on issues, and then this will bring me back into the system, the backend system. So in here, where you need to focus your attention will probably be on the left side here, where you can see your issue types, your schemas for workflows, for screens, for fields, and everything. This is where you need to focus your attention on. Today, we're trying to create a new field. Whatever field you're creating by default is already a custom field because it doesn't come with the fields you have in Jira. So you're going into custom fields. And then in here, these are all the fields. What you can see on my screen now are all the fields that are presently in my Jira, regardless of whether it's in my project or not. So in the search box here, you will need to type in the field you're trying to create. In fact, do you know what's the field name we're trying to create today?
Yes. So I'm trying to create a portfolio epic.
Okay.
So sorry, the screen is sorry, it's a field for portfolio epic. It's called arrival date.
Arrival date. So two things. That's a date field. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to check to see if there is anything in the system that we can reuse as your arrival date. So in the search box in here, you literally can just type it in. Arrival, and then date. And then once I click on the search button, it tells me I literally don't have anything called arrival date on the system. Okay. What you can then do as well is also check to see what are all the date fields that I have on the system. Right now, I've got start dates, target dates, target end date, and the target start date. Okay. Looking at that now, that doesn't really give you the option in terms of what you're trying to do. In some cases, most organizations would have quite a few other fields for your dates. You might have your baseline starts, baseline finish, depending on how, your fields have been configured in your Jira system. So we're going to take go with the training with the fact that we're going to be creating a new field called arrival date. So at the top of your screen, on the left-hand side, you can see where it says create custom field. So I'm going to click on that button, and then you get this. On the screen, it's very, very important that you understand what type of field we're going to create. Because once the field has been created and you've assigned it to your screen and it's been used, you cannot change the setup of the field anymore. So if you've created, an example would be, you've created a field as a, let's say, a text field, right? And then you later decide that, oh, you know what, rather than me have a text field, I would like to have like a radio button field, or a field that gives me the option to do checklists. If you see what I mean, you literally would not be able to go and say, you know what, I've created this, let me change that into a checkbox or multi-select. You would have to literally delete what you've done and do it all over again. So it's very, very important that before you create the field, you need to understand, how do I want to create the field? Is it going to be a multi-select field? Do I want to have a radio button set up? Do I have options that I want people to be able to choose from? Do I want to leave it as a free text? So literally people can go in and type in whatever they want in there. Those are the kind of questions you need to answer for yourself. So now we're creating a date field. So you can see in here, we have a date picker and a date time picker. So the difference between the two, I think it's quite obvious because here it tells you, it will show you the date and the timestamp. Whereas
I
the
think
other
that's the one I need, the date and the time picker.
and the timestamp. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas this just focuses on just the dates. Okay. And it's
Yeah.
called a picker because you already have kind of, when you're trying to fill a form and you already have the calendar sign and you just need to click on it and choose your dates. That's why it's called a picker. Okay. So you would then select the one you want and then click on next. And at this point, you now type in the name, which is your arrival date. Hopefully I'm getting the spelling right. And then you type in arrival date. If you do have a description that you want, people to see and understand what the field is supposed to be used for, this is where you put that in. This is like the small print you get those tiny prints you get at the bottom of every field or some fields. Some fields do have them, some don't. That's where you put the information and then you will be able to get that small print below every field you've created. So I think this is quite self-explanatory, arrival date, and then you click on create. Okay, so now my field has been created, and this takes you back to your screen schemas to now tell you that which of my projects, which of my screens do I want to attach this new field to. Bear in mind that just because we've created the field is now available for everybody using your Jira system, not necessarily visible in their project. It's just on the system, right? So any other team or department can use your field, but they would have to apply it to their projects. Yeah. So now we've created it. It's available for everybody. What you now need to do is assign that field to your screen in your project so that it becomes available for your team to use. Okay. So at this point, what you would then do is, if you know what your screen schemas are, then all you need to do is click on any of the checkboxes. Okay, so I'm not too sure what the screens are, so I will take you through the easier way because you don't want to make a mistake. If I click on any one of this would have an impact. If the schema, the screens are not your screen and you've chosen the wrong one, it will be having a big impact on the team that owns that screen. So if you're not sure of what your screens are, you don't know what it's called, that's absolutely fine. All you need to do is now go back into your project. You've created the field, go back into your project. And then once you're back into your project, now you go into the project setting for your project, which you would find at the left-hand side, right at the bottom here. In some Jira instances, you will find it at the really, the bottom part here, or you can get that here. So I'll click on my project setting. And then this will bring me back to the configuration side of my project. And then I can click on issues here. And then that would then give me, your type, my layout, all my fields, all my configuration, and I can choose the one that I want. For the purpose of this training, we're going into the screens because your screens are where you have all your fields. Okay, so now you can see that in here, I've got PX Kanban default screen, and these are all the issue types assigned to that. And I've also got a bulk screen. So what you need to ask yourself is, do I want that field for all my issue types in my project? Do I want that new field on just my story, my blog, or Epic? So I'm going to be clicking, I would apply the field on both screens, right? So if I go on this, all this issue type, stories, actions, Epic, will be impacted with this change I'm about to make. So I'm going to be clicking on my create screen. Bear in mind, for every screen, you've got a create, edit, and view. If you look in here, you can see you've got three, kind of like an hyperlink. The reason why you do have three different ones is you can configure this to be three different screens. if you want to see different information. So you want to be able to edit. You want to be able to see a certain field at the point of creating your issues. And then when you're going into your edit, you want to enable more fields so people can then edit, or restrict, the ability for people to be able to make changes to some certain fields. Then you would need to set that up that way. In my subsequent videos, I've talked about how to separate those screens. So watch out for those videos. So in this case, you can see that all my screens, both edit, create, and view, are all the same. So if I click on one of them, I'm going to right click and open on another tab, because we would need to come back to this. Once you make your edits in this page, in this screen, because you have 3 the same screen, you don't need to do that on the edit or on your view, because it's all the same. So 1, it's fine. But if you had 3 different, you would need to go into all 3 to make the changes in all 3. So at the bottom of the screen here, you now search for arrival date. So you can see that's come up, and then I'll click on enter, and then that's been added to my screen, right? You can see at the bottom here that arrival date is now added into my screen. So that's how you add it to there. So it's been added. Now I will go back in here, and then, because I want to do the same for my blog, because I want that arrival date on all issue type in my project. So I'm going to click on the blog, and I will do the same for the blog as well. And then that's loading up. I'll scroll to the bottom, look for the search box. The search box is always at the bottom of your screen. And then I will just look for arrival dates. That comes up from the drop down, and then you select, and then that's it. Once you can see it up in here, like this, it tells you it's been added to your project. So if I go to create an issue type in that project, say story, and I call this string or field, new field. New field creation, okay? And then I scroll down, we should then be able to see the arrival date. So you can see you've got the arrival date. If you click on that, it will give you the dates, your calendar, and then it tells you the timestamp you want stamped on it, like that. And then I can
to have the arrival date a little bit higher on the screen.
Yes, you can.
On the scheme. Okay.
Yep. Yes, you can. And I will show you that in a minute. So once you've done that, all you need to do is just click on create, and that's you've created an issue, for that. So if you want to, say, rearrange your screens to make some fields at the top, push some fields to the bottom, that's very easy. You will need to go back to your screen that you're trying to edit. And then all you need to do is drag and drop. So we've just added the arrival date, and I want that to be at the top, probably next to the component. All you need to do is pick it up just like this, and then drag it to wherever you want to place it in your screen. So I want it next to my component. You just place it next to your component, and then that's it. And then you can do the same to reorder this in the order you want to see that on your screen. One thing you can also do that people do find very useful is at the top here, you can see where it says field tab and add tab. So you can have your date field, for example, your CapEx field. If you do have your CapEx, OpEx details in your project, you can separate those information. So it's easier for people to find and update as you go. So you can click on add a new tab and call it, maybe we can call this a dates tab. So all your dates, you would move them out of this and put them in this tab. So I can just call this dates and then click on add, right? And then I will go, right now it's blank. For me to be able to move the arrival date from this to this, the first thing you would need to do is take it out of this. So I will just click on remove. When you hover over it, you can see the remove sign at the right-hand side. You need to take it out of the field. Let's see if we've got any other date field in here. I think that's the only one we've got. You need to take it out of there, and then you go into the date field, and then you put it in here because it only recognizes it once. So now you've added it that way, right? So if I go into my project, if I go into, say, create a new ticket, and then you scroll down, you would then be able to create your, the arrival is at the bottom. So you just create your, let's call this test 111. And then I will do my dates, tomorrow's dates, dates, and then click on create. And then I'm viewing my issues, the ones that I've just literally created. That's loading up. Okay. And then that's the tickets that I literally have just created. Okay. So I think that kind of like talks you through the process of how to get a new field created and also how to get that added up to your screen so that you can then begin to use that new field. I hope that's clear, Yvette. Any other questions you might have regarding that?
Yes, that was really clear. Thank you. Now I really understand how to do that. So thanks for that. But I had another question. I know each custom field has sort of a unique identifier or a custom field ID number. How do I go about finding the custom field ID number, please?
Okay. So for you to be able to find that, there are two things you need to be, if you are a Jira administrator, you would have to go into the settings section, go back to issues. You can choose any one of the Jira settings you see in there. And then you're going into custom fields. And then let's just say we've just created an, arrival date. Let's go back to our arrival date. So you would need to type in the field, which is your arrival date. And then if you look at this dotted sign, what's it called? The three dots on the left-hand side on your screen, yeah? So if you look at it, when you hover over this, you don't click on it, just hover over it. And then at the bottom of your screen, you will see an hyperlink come out at the bottom of your screen. It's quite fiddly. So can you see the bottom of my screen?
Yes, I can.
On the left-hand side where it says, can you see this thing? So it comes
Yes,
at the
I can.
bottom of your screen when you click on,
Okay.
you don't click on it, just hover over it. And then this would come up and then you can see the ID for this arrival is 10035.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can
Great.
see it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite fiddly. But if you're not a Jira administrator, for some, obviously, if you're not a Jira administrator, you can always request for this number to be given to you by, sending a request to your support team, and then they would be able to go into the configuration of the field to get you that. In some Jira instance, when you go into your, your JQL search button, let me go into JQL, and then you type in your JQL part, and you type in the arrival date. And you type in arrival date. Okay. In some Jira instances, it will give you the number because it's a custom field. It will tell you, what the arrival date is at the point of creating. Once you're trying to type it in, it will tell you arrival date. It would even tell you custom field. I think it's called CF. On the number, you will see something like a CF and then a number next to it. So that's the number for the field that you're looking for. So to be on the safe side, I would just tell you to send a request to your, if you're not a Jira administrator, send a request to your Jira support team and we'll be able to get you the information. But if you do have access to go to the backend system yourself, then that's what you need to do. And then you should be able to get the ID number from there.
Great.
Okay.
Makes my life a lot easier. Thanks for that.
No worries.
Noted.
Any other question? Kaya, do you have any question? Kaya still on the call?
Hi, sorry about that. Yeah, so I just wanted to know, thanks, your explanations were very clear. I just wanted to know how I'm able to set up my projects from scratch, because I'm a bit lost when it comes to that. And also to know how do I know if screens on my workplace is shared? If you could run through that for me.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. I'll answer your second question first because that's very easy to know. Once you go into your project and you go to your project setting, if you are a project administrator, you go into your project setting. At the point where you're going to either your workflow, let's go back to the start of this, and I go into screens. In here, when you go into your screens, it will tell you, can you see where it says Kanban default screen schema defaults? Yeah. It will tell you next to this, shared by 10 projects, shared with 50 projects, 100 projects. You will be able to see that here. Okay. That's if that screen is shared, or you can also see that in here because, these are individual screens. So you have the default screen, you have the bulk screen. You might have your default screen shared with other projects, but your bulk screen is not shared with other projects. You might have that. You might have that your Kanban issue type schema, which is the top one, and it is shared. But next to it, you would see like a very light blue bar come in there to say, issues type schema shared with 10 different projects, and it would list out all the projects that is using the same schemas with you. So this particular project is not shared with anyone. So probably I would probably show you in my next video how to, identify when your project is shared and what it looks like. I will be doing that for you. And for your creation of a new project, in the next video that I'm going to be doing, Kyle, I can walk you through the process because that in itself, it's quite, it does have a lot of steps and things that you need to do before we can get project created and how to make sure all your configurations are all set up. So in itself, it is a lengthy kind of like discussion that we would have. So I'll set up another call and then I'll walk you through what the process is going to be like, and we'll get one created so you'll be able to do that in your organization.
Okay, thank you.
If that helps. Okay, thank you. So any more questions, Yvette, from your side before we end the call today?
No more questions. Everything's pretty clear to me now. So thank you very much for your explanation. And I will definitely be back with more questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Kaya. Thank you, Yvette, for joining today's training session. So I'm looking forward to more questions or more comments from you guys as well. So if you do have any other questions, please remember you can, reach out to me, leave me a comment in the comment section, and I'll get back to you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, remember, now is the time for you to subscribe and also share and like the videos as well. So thank you. And I'll look forward to, sending you guys the next videos that I'm going to be doing. So thank you for joining.
Thanks, Layo. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.